Hey guys, James here, and today I want to talk to you about Call of Duty Ghosts and Battlefield 4. These are the two biggest competitors for first-person shooter online multiplayer games, and they actually have more in common than you might think. Both of them are heavy-hitting franchises, and they've seemingly been around forever, and they'll both be huge sellers this fall. And actually this year they're only releasing 1 week apart, with Battlefield 4 releasing on October 29th, and Call of Duty Ghosts releasing on November 5th. I think usually they're at least 2 or 3 weeks apart, so this is going to be a pretty crazy 8 days. For these respective installments, both franchises will be making big changes to their games and innovating a ton. For Call of Duty Ghosts, they're taking the Black Ops 2 Pick 10 system to a whole new level by completely opening up the perk selection system and giving you so many different options to choose from. In Battlefield 4, they're adding tons of new game modes to inject some fast-paced, action-packed gameplay to go alongside the classically tactical gameplay of the Battlefield franchise. Another thing that they have in common is that both games are offering upgrades to the next generation for reduced prices. For Battlefield 4, I'm actually not sure exactly how this is going to work, since I don't really have to worry about this being a PC player, but from what I've seen, it looks like you'll be able to upgrade from the current generation to the next generation for just $10. For Call of Duty Ghosts, some of the Xbox deals are a little tricky, and they do depend some on which retailer you buy the game from. But on PlayStation 3, the game comes with a code that allows you to buy the PS4 digital version for just $10, and then you can play either game. So if you have some friends that aren't going to be able to upgrade to a PlayStation 4 right away, you can still play Call of Duty with them, but then you can also play with your friends that are going to upgrade. Of course, not at the same time. I don't want to have any confusion there. So after all this talking, you might be wondering what I'm going to be doing for both of these games. For Battlefield 4, I've pre-ordered the digital Deluxe edition on PC, and I'm planning on getting premium so that I can have all the DLC as soon as that drops. For Call of Duty Ghosts, I'll be getting it at launch on PlayStation 3, because this game actually still does come out 10 days before the PlayStation 4 does. And then when I get my PlayStation 4, which should be on launch day, I'll be upgrading to the digital PlayStation 4 version, as I mentioned before. And just as with Battlefield, I will be getting the Season Pass for this game so that I can have all that DLC. So buying both of these games and all the DLC will be a good chunk of money, but these are two of the main games that I play every year, and I should easily put 200 hours into each game within the next year. So all of this brings me to the biggest point of this video. I don't think it has to be one or the other. Even if you don't have as much time to spend on games as I do, I still think there's room for both of these games. But in case there isn't, I'll list out a couple pros and cons for both games. For Call of Duty, the biggest pro is that it is a very fast game. This is a game that you can just pick up and you can learn the basics incredibly quickly, and you can have a ton of fun in this game even if you don't put in a ton of time. Going along with that, the time it takes you to rank up in this game is very short, and it usually takes about a day of playing to get through a prestige. This changes, of course, from game to game, but still, it doesn't take that long to unlock all the weapons and have everything at your disposal. Another pro is that Call of Duty is the more popular game on YouTube right now, so there will be more videos out there to try to help you get better, little tips and tricks that you can learn about the game. Now, I would say that by far the biggest con of this game is that a lot of people feel like it's kind of on its last legs. A lot of the hardcore fans have been abandoning the series, and even the ones that stick with it have a lot of complaints, and there's a lot that just sort of isn't right with the world of Call of Duty right now. For Battlefield, one pro is that they listen to the community a lot more, maybe even to a fault. This leads to a lot of patches. If you complain about something enough, DICE will patch it. There are drastic differences in the guns and the balancing in Battlefield 3 right now compared to how it was when the game originally launched almost 2 years ago. Another pro is that I think there's a wider variety of gameplay in Battlefield. There are some modes that are designed to be slow, like Conquest, and even Rush, really. But then there are others that are built for action, and the two best examples of this are actually fairly new to the series, that being Domination, which will be coming sort of full scale in Battlefield 4 as opposed to just one little DLC in Battlefield 3, and the Obliteration game mode, which is just completely built for just fast-paced, getting shot at as soon as you spawn action. And to go along with this variety of gameplay, I think there's more tactical gameplay in Battlefield. In some game modes you have tanks, choppers, other air vehicles, even boats are coming into play pretty huge in this game. And I think overall there are just a lot more things that you have to take into account when you're playing Battlefield, and that can lead to a very fun experience. One of the bigger cons of Battlefield, though, is that it can be very hard to learn. Like I said, there is a lot to take into account, and just sort of a counterpoint to one of the pros of Call of Duty is that it takes a lot of time to unlock everything. I mentioned that it's usually about a day to prestige in Call of Duty. I actually played the Battlefield 4 beta a little bit more than a day, and even if they hadn't capped the level at 10, I'm not sure if I would have made it to 11. In Battlefield 3, I believe you need to be level 45. That's when you unlocked your last gun, at least the last gun that you got by just ranking up. So it can take a really long time to get everything. everything. If you're just playing 1 or 2 hours a week in this game, you'll be way behind the curve. There'll be a lot of hardcore players that are playing just non-stop the first couple weeks, so if you either jump into this late or you just don't play it a ton, there's a good chance that there will be people who have better weapons and better gadgets, and you might not be able to compete with that. Another con, and this is a little bit controversial, but a lot of people feel like there is elitism in the Battlefield community, and especially on PC. In my experience, it isn't as widespread as some people say, but there are times when it does happen. The biggest example of this for me was I was playing Team Deathmatch several months ago, and this guy comes in and he actually has good stats. I looked him up after the game, great stats even. But the whole time he was in the game, all he was doing was complaining about how bad his teammates were, how they were getting him killed, and they were the reason we were only winning by a little bit. It was just so much ridiculous stuff. And if you've ever played Team Deathmatch on Battlefield 3, it's not usually the most competitive game mode. You can definitely have some competitive games, but for a lot of people, Team Deathmatch is a game mode where you go in and you try out some different guns, you work on your gun skill, or if you want, you just run around with the bad guns in the game and just have fun with that. So this little incident really rubbed me the wrong way, and it was one of those times where I really felt kind of ashamed to be a part of this community. When of course in reality, that guy is 1 in 1,000, and most people don't behave like that. And this last point, I didn't really know whether to list it as a pro or a con. I guess I can see the argument for both. But a lot more COD YouTubers are trying to really get into Battlefield 4. When they invited people out there, you could see there were a lot of guys who were mainly known for Call of Duty playing with some of the bigger Battlefield guys too. Now this could definitely be good. If more people stick with Battlefield, there will be more content on YouTube, there'll be more videos out there to help you get better at the game, or just to entertain you. But one of those things that you hear a lot, or see a lot in the chat if you play on PC, is go back to COD. There's some guy, running around just going for kills or something like that, you'll see a lot of people type that in the chat and sort of berate this player for playing, how they want to. I don't really think it's anyone's job to tell someone else how they should play the game. Of course, there are things that everyone's going to think are wrong, but really there is no overall morals of Battlefield. I think the way that people say this and feel this way, it really goes back to the elitism I was just talking about. When I've been playing Call of Duty, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, go back to Battlefield. Although I have heard some pretty terrible things while playing Call of Duty. They just weren't so much about Battlefield. So, as I've listed out here, both games do have plenty of things that they do better than the other game. It really just all comes down to your preferences and what you want to get out of a game. If you're just really into fast-paced action, Call of Duty is probably going to be a better game for you. If you want a more tactical feel to your game, then Battlefield is probably going to be better for you. But if you're like me, and you like both types of gameplay, and you have the time and money to spend on both of them, I think getting both of these games is a great way to go. But if you do have to choose, like I said, just go with whatever you think you'll have more fun with. The most important thing that I wanted to get across with this video is that it doesn't need to be COD versus Battlefield, or COD or Battlefield. I think it should be COD and Battlefield. It doesn't need to sound so confrontational. Even if you can only play one, or even if you only like one, there's really no sense in shutting the door on the other. By doing that, you're only limiting yourself and the amount of fun that you'll be able to have. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, smack that like button, or just click it, whatever floats your boat. If you want to see more videos from me, click the subscribe button as well. That'll make it a lot easier for you to find my future videos. I hope everyone finds some games this fall that they're going to enjoy playing. Let me know in the comment section below what games you're getting, what games you're looking forward to, anything like that, and have a nice day.